Space Action Podcast! With your hosts, Chris Carson and DC and Shama.
Welcome to Space Action Podcast, a division of Space Action Heroes, a webcomic you can find at spaceactionheroes.com. I am Chris Carson.
I'm DC in Shama.
And this week we are going to celebrate some 30th... Yeah. This week we're going to celebrate some 30th anniversaries. And...
Are they both 30th?
Yeah, they're both 30th.
What an awesome year for movies.
89.
God damn.
So we're going to talk about... first we're going to talk about Batman.
You look fine.
I didn't ask. I have given a name to my pain.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
And then...
89 Batman.
89 Batman. And then we'll talk about the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
We're about to complete a great quest, the Holy Grail, Dr. Jones.
Oh, rats.
This is it. The shield is the second marker. We found it.
Indiana Jones is on the quest of a lifetime. But for some adventures, one Jones is not enough.
Dad? Junior? Don't call me that, please.
Follow me. I know the way.
You know what I was thinking of today? Just as to start. Fucking the idea that 89 Batman was a novel idea at the time, right? Mm-hmm. Burton had done what? Pee-wee?
He did Beetlejuice, Pee-wee, and Frankenweenie.
So the idea of handing over like a multi-million-dollar franchise, like this isn't just, Beetlejuice, hey, you're writing your own freaky ghost story. Mm-hmm. This is like IP that's existed for decades and is well beloved, and
they wanted to reinvent it, and they found a little quirky.
And
dude.
Then 30 years later, we just saw probably the most conclusive superhero movie ever, right? With Endgame.
Endgame?
In terms of that movie literally ends with a portal opening and every character you've loved over the past 10 years walking through.
All wandering out.
You don't get there without putting Michael Keaton in some fake rubber. That movie is because other than the 66 Batman movie, which I'm hard-pressed to call a superhero movie.
I love that movie, but I agree. It's just camp.
It's more of a movie about the TV show than it is we're looking at the source material and seeing how we can adapt this.
100%.
This movie was so ballsy. So much of it was just this should have been just a ball of fucking shit on fire, but it's so well done.
And as from what I've heard, hardcore Batman fans didn't like it because it was very far. But they appreciated that it finally was a darker Batman.
Right.
But they were still Joker killed his parents.
Right.
All these things. He kills people. What?
He has a lot of guns and missiles on everything he drives.
But it was a transition movie. It had to, they had to go from that 60s camp. You wouldn't have Christopher Nolan's Batman without the transitionary movie of Tim Burton's Batman. Count the number of canted angles in Batman. Right. It's insane. They're clearly, paying homage to the 60s show when they do that, so it's a baby step in the right direction.
Yeah, the only other movie I can think of that has as much faithfulness to the character is Richard Donner's Superman that came before that in terms of live action full length.
Richard Donner nailed Superman.
Exactly. What? Literally?
It's how do you think Christopher Reeve got the part?
Oh my god.
Oh,
that's awful.
They crippled him to keep him silent.
I was about to say. Wasn't gonna touch it. It was low-hanging fruit, but God bless you, you took it.
Listen, Dick, I think I really need to tell the public about what happened and how I got this role. And you just cut to him carving into his horse's hoof.
Make sure Reeves goes down.
Goes down in the third.
But sir, make sure Reeves goes down.
And the Superman curse, all the people who play Superman. I guess only Dean, what was his name? The TV Superman?
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain's career was crippled, but he's still physically fine.
He's still physically, I guess the original guy, I forget his name,
he
the black one, shot himself. And then there was Brandon Ruth, who
I guess his career
he's the
is also
Atom.
dead.
He's the Atom now in the DC shows.
Yeah, he is.
And then Henry Cavill's got
The Witcher.
The Witcher. So there you go. It's broken. The curse is broken.
The curse. Well, Christopher Reeve broke the curse. How ironic.
You're just bringing this down. We're trying to talk about Batman. You're talking about snuffing Christopher Reeve.
No.
God damn it, Carson.
Sorry.
God damn it.
I can't help. Anyways.
The idea that they took that movie so seriously. We're going to have Michael Keaton delivering a sincere performance about a broken dude who was so fucked up in the head he has to dress like a giant bat and punch people to feel functional.
That seems to me why they picked Tim Burton, because he was about this bizarre psychology. Because he approached it saying Bruce Wayne wouldn't be a suave billionaire, he'd be a fucking little weirdo who put on a weird suit and went out in his insanity and beat up criminals.
Yeah, that's true, because Adam West played him very much just he was just charisma. He was just Adam West for all intents and purposes.
All Bruce Waynes have been pretty charismatic ever since. Affleck, I guess he's down in his underground wrestling pit.
He played him more like a drunk...
like those shoes.
Yeah, exactly. A drunk meathead. Or maybe that's just Ben Affleck.
Maybe that's just Ben Affleck.
I can't say for sure.
Clooney was just Clooney.
Clooney was Clooney. I was talking about just the other day. I kind of like Christian Bale's idea of I'm just going to play Bruce Wayne like Paris Hilton. Mm-hmm. This airheaded, I'm rich off daddy's money moron who shows up in a helicopter with 4 supermodels. Mm-hmm. And you're like, no, there's no way that dude could be Batman. He's a fucking arrogant prick. It's the best disguise.
Yeah, exactly. And it's purely from American Psycho, too.
Yes, totally.
Straight up American Psycho.
But Keaton has this unique way of just... my favorite scenes, we should open, 2-3 cases of champagne. Yeah. Just the way he's, this eclectic dude of, I don't really know if I have a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm just rich and I don't know why.
I'm just here, and then Alfred's crying about how he's destroying the Wayne name. Your father built that name!
I was talking about Keaton.
Oh, you're talking about Keaton?
Keaton's, I think Keaton's way of playing Bruce Wayne of just, this eccentric...
I missed that. Yeah, sorry.
I guess it is just Michael Keaton now that I think about it. His version...
You know what? I don't think I've ever been in this room before.
Exactly, with the squints and the head turns. He's just very much... You wouldn't think that guy's a superhero either.
No.
I like the way that's his way of subverting Batman, which is... Well, except for when he's literally hanging from a fucking steel bar.
That was kind of odd. He sleeps upside down. And he kind of dropped all that in the sequel because Bruce Wayne was this weird little shut-in billionaire in the sequel who just sat in his dark room and then had Selena Kyle over in front of his massive fireplace that would have been so hot to have sat in front.
Maybe between movies it was losing Vicky Vale where he realized I am not an adjusted human being.
Everyone seems to accept me now. The commissioner just calls me all the time.
I have a bat signal on the side of my house now. Yeah. That wasn't a thing a year ago.
Yeah. Does he really need a secret identity when the police are completely supporting of his methods? Is that required?
I think this is you're making more work for yourself, Bruce. He is Michael Keaton. You try talking sense to that man
with his little billionaire ascot and his little fro.
Oh, his cute little fro.
Yeah,
his little 90s Michael Keaton fro.
90s Jewish fro.
Yep. Yeah. And fucking Elfman. What else had Elfman done at that point? Danny fucking Elfman.
He done Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And
other than the Burton flicks, I don't think
I think he was just Oingo Boingo at that point, and then Tim Burton kind of grabbed him for Beetlejuice, and then
the dude writes a Batman theme that to this day is to me the definitive Batman theme. If you play that anywhere, I can't think of it's as much as I love Hans Zimmer's Nolan music, it's nowhere near as
it's just a driving force. It's the anarchy of the character.
This captures that film noir, brooding, moody, dark aspect.
Horrors,
yeah.
I remember a story from one of the makings of about how who was the producer, the crazy guy that Kevin Smith always rips on, Peters something, John Peters or
I think it's John Peters.
John Peters.
Oh my god, I used to know the story like the back of my hand.
He came in and was like, "All right, play me the music. I want to hear what the music is." And Danny Elfman was playing all his little B themes, and Russell Peters, John Peters, Russell Peters is going to hit him so hard.
Yeah.
Just wasn't impressed and was checking out, and Tim Burton just went, play him the main theme, and so Danny did the main theme, and John Peters just freaked out, and he was like, okay, you're hired, you nearly lost your job there, but
that's hilarious.
You're still in because of that main theme.
Batman 89 is the first movie I remember watching. I was probably 2.5 or 3, and we got it on VHS, and we're watching it at home. And I remember because it goes through the logo, the bat logo at the beginning, this gargantuan version of it. And my dad, being my dad, pulls out, shows the logo. He's like, "Oh, it's the bat's teeth." Because it looks almost like this weird rotate. Right. And for years, dude,
you thought it was.
I couldn't see it as a bat. It drove me nuts. Like, why is it just teeth?
Do bats
have
teeth?
Not like that. They don't have a round like canine. They got like pointy ass bat vampire teeth.
Like, the fruit ones are little wolves or little foxes, and then the vampire ones have those too.
But my dad's my dad. He's just like, it's the teeth. And so, anyways, that's just a long way of saying of like, that's the first movie I remember sitting there and being like, what is, you can tell stories with videos? Like, what is this?
Jurassic Park was that for me. Batman, I remember I saw in theaters when I was 7. And the only real memory I have from it is being horrified at the Joker's leg attached to the statue at the end. Because Jack Nicholson actually pulled his one leg up and then really let the other one fall down. And I was, as a little kid, I was just waiting for the leg to rip off.
Yeah, it still bugs.
It horrified me.
To this day, even whenever the gargoyle breaks off, I'm like, that would just pull your leg off like a piece of meat.
Pop it out.
Like,
yeah, it's so gross.
It is gnarly.
Did you hear about who might be the next Batman?
Robert Pattinson. What do you think, dude?
I don't know. I'm torn on it because he's a really great actor. Like, when you see him outside of Twilight, you're like, oh, this guy's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But he himself, I guess maybe as like I was, as soon as I heard the announcement, I was looking at Robert Pattinson shit and just watching him on Colbert, and he's such like a mimbo. He is so dumb. Like, he was talking about a play he was in about existentialism.
Sure.
And Colbert was like breaking it down for him. He's like, I just show up and remember my lines. And he was like giggling. I was like, oh, you're a mimbo. You're just a male bimbo.
So you think they're maybe going for like a more Tony Stark, charismatic billionaire Bruce Wayne kind of angle?
I don't know.
Because I don't think they're going to keep going dark and brooding.
No,
like
I think they've learned.
Yeah.
But then Batman has to be dark and brooding, or else why make Batman?
But that's what I'd be interested to see if they were able to find like somewhere. Like, do you remember? Okay, so there's Batman the animated series, but then there was also the Justice League. Justice League Batman was dark and brooding, but he wasn't nearly as serious as the animated series version.
Branding people and shit.
Yeah. So if they could just do that, find a way to dial him back a little bit, and
but
just
don't go full camp.
Don't go full camp, but every now and then he just says something dark and fucked up, and you're like, oh, right, he is fucking Bruce Wayne. I don't know. I think it could be an interesting take. I had the exact same reaction I had to him being cast as Batman as Heath Ledger being cast as the Joker. And I'm like, you know what? That dude won an Oscar. And like you said, when I see this dude in other stuff other than Twilight, I like him. So I'm like, give him a shot. Like,
I think the only X factor for me is that he was cast in Twilight because he already has that face like a vampire.
Yeah.
Like, he has the 2 larger canine teeth that stick out in his weird narrow jaw.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine he's going to look cool as Batman. And he's got kind of a wonky eye, too.
They can CGI that shit. Once they paint black around them eyes, you won't notice.
But every time I look at him, I'm like, you're a great actor, and all I can see is a vampire. I can see why you were cast as a vampire.
They had hid Christian Bale's eye mole underneath that cowl for 3 movies, and you never noticed.
He was, I saw him in a clip where he was wearing a mask, and his eyes are actually, like, wonky.
Are they a little off?
And then his face was so narrow. I was like, he's going to look so stupid in the cowl. Like, they're going to have to really earn their money designing his cowl.
Maybe they'll finally give him the cool glowing night eyes.
Maybe.
Just cover it up.
Just cover it up.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll adapt that one comic run where Batman became Dracula.
Oh, right, the vampire. Oh, dude, if they went that route,
that'd be ridiculous.
It'd be a little too on the nose. I think people would be more pissed and anything. Like, that's why you cast him, you sons of bitches.
Is this also going to be set in the 80s? Are they just working towards an 80s Justice League?
I think so.
That's so stupid.
But like, wait, how would it be an 80s Justice League? We were already seeing Diana fight with Bruce Wayne in modern times.
But this is supposed to be a 20-year-old Bruce Wayne. That's a 50-year-old Bruce Wayne.
So this isn't the first time they've met? It's not the same universe.
No,
so they're building a new Justice League from Robert Pattinson's Batman?
It's confusing because I don't even know. I think this might be 100% standalone too. I think they might be going the direction of their animated movies, where it's like, this movie's not connected to anything.
Like the Joker movie.
Because right now all that's connected is Aquaman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
And
Shazam.
Technically.
Okay.
I think Superman actually shows up in Shazam. Doesn't he?
Yeah, I haven't seen him, but I think from the neck down, apparently he shows up
in the suit, in the Zack Snyder suit.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's the way to go. I mean, because Batman to me exists kind of timelessly. We've seen Pirate Batman, we've seen Future Batman.
He was campy for like 30 years in the comics.
Exactly.
So the 60s show is Batman.
Like, if any of the DC superheroes you can take at a time and make them jump around, like, I think that would work. I wouldn't mind watching, like, 50s Batman with Zeppelins and shit like that. Like, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I really want the Zeppelins to show up in Gotham.
Yeah!
That's all I want.
Come on!
I want to see the Zeppelins.
Film noir Batman.
Yeah. But, 89 Batman I was obsessed with. I was obsessed with that. I played with that Batman toy until it was, like, just a hunk of plastic. Yep. It was so worn down. With the belt that came out.
I didn't have that one, no.
That was the original guy.
Yeah.
I really wish I'd hung on to him.
God, and just in terms of, like, I'm trying to think of, like, staging and like, no one's ever seen a movie on that scale. Superman doesn't have a cadre of gadgets and vehicles at his disposal. Seeing the Batmobile roll up for the first time, seeing the Batwing come screaming out of the sky, seeing even just, like, him use the grappling hook for the first time, all that shit, all that tech. It's like the first time you saw Iron Man, you saw the armor lock around him. You're like, holy fuck, you can do this with these movies?
Oh, his utility belt's actually awesome. It's not just a joke.
Exactly, yeah.
Did you notice it? I sent you the picture because we were talking about the Batmobile paint job.
The tint of blue in it.
The tint of blue and purple in there.
Yeah.
So that's great. I really like that. So I guess for anyone listening, Anton Furst, who died after the first Batman came out, so he didn't get to make the second one, which is probably why that Bat water ship looks so stupid.
It does look really bad.
It looks so stupid. Yeah. But he painted, like, I don't know what the phrase for it is. Is it pearlescent?
Yeah,
where
pearlescent.
It's layers of paint.
I would say that works. Yes.
Yeah. I don't honestly.
Pearlescent, I think, is just like that the incandescent shine. Yeah.
Because the Batmobile, he did layers. So he did like glossy black, and then like a layer of green, a layer of purple, a layer of blue, and then glossy black again. So at different angles, you could see it was like an oil slick.
Yeah.
And then for
done
the sequel,
unsuccessfully on a bunch of bro cars nowadays, usually in beige on a Trans Am.
And you can't really, and done unsuccessfully in the movie too, because the film stock they used was so grainy.
Yeah, you can't see it.
You couldn't even see it. And then in the sequel, they just did a black matte paint job.
I bet you it's because of a budget thing. They're like, it's a lot cheaper, and no one noticed the first time around.
No one even noticed it. Yeah. And I guess it was too also thematically about the layers of Batman and the connection between him and the Joker, so it didn't really work in part 2.
Yeah.
It was a sad day when Anton first died.
Awesome. That look of, like, also, you must have seen it, but if anyone listening hasn't, look up the behind-the-scenes photos of the set they built for Gotham City.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally a fucking city.
It's insane.
You don't see production value like that anymore, and that's what I love so much about that movie is when you watch it, I'm thinking specifically about the scenes where Bruce lays down the flowers for his parents, and the City Hall scene, like, it's your Uncle Bingo. That's You
Time
look
to pay the check.
Yeah, when you watch those scenes, what I love about it is that it's familiar but obscure. It looks like a city, but not one you've ever seen before. So your brain is forced into, like, your suspension of disbelief is immediately, like, lifted. You're like, oh, I'm there right now. I don't recognize any of this shit.
This looks like some industrial nightmare.
Yeah, it's like someone just walked into an abandoned factory and tried to build a city into it. Like, it's such a bananas aesthetic.
And the only downside to those grandiose sets is that in every shot you can see the theater in the background somewhere. The Monarch Theater.
Oh.
Like when he's on city steps, you can see it off in the corner, and then when he's in the alleyway, you can see it around where he walked in, because it's all just that two blocks they built.
And then you only have so many angles.
So the Monarch Theater kept showing up. I was like, why is he just hanging out on this one street?
If you listen carefully, you can hear 89 Batman, Tim Burton be like, fuck you! Yeah. No, this was to rally together. Yeah, you can see the theater. Yeah, what do you want?
I watched just to veer off just for a moment, I rewatched The Abyss recently, James Cameron's The Abyss. I didn't like it at all. I totally get why that's the only movie he's had that's bombed. It kind of sucked. But the making of it's insane, because they actually found an old, like, nuclear cooling tank and filled it full of millions of gallons of water and built the set underwater.
Oh, cool.
So it's so vast and expansive of them just swimming around, it looks like they're at the bottom of the ocean.
Sure.
It's insane. And
he's got a weird water fetish, that guy.
He does have a very weird water fetish.
Yeah.
But after it just not to shit on the fucking Batman set, 'cause it's awesome. But after seeing the Abyss set, I was like, that's kind of the pinnacle of sets. Because that's right during transition too, where everything was starting to go away from practical stuff and away from CGI.
Do you think that's because Cameron's really infamous for that? He built a fucking full scale Titanic and sank that shit. So Burton, not so much known for like.
No, he just goes whatever's easiest.
Yeah, so who you think that's a production? John Peters kind of was just like, we should go big or go home on this thing.
Maybe.
We should have to build fucking Gotham City.
Well, I guess that's the thing. How much didn't the Batman cost? Like $80 million.
It's a lot. I think it's one of the most expensive movies ever made.
In '89, yeah. Adjusting for inflation, it was huge. So I guess they just went nuts. There was probably a lot of cocaine going around. Let's just build Gotham City. Just build it.
What are we making? Remember Adam West? Yeah, that show. Whoa!
I want the Batman to actually be able to drive really fast, but we don't need to. I want him to drive really fast!
Who's that? Prince? What's he doing here with the soundtrack? Fuck! By the way, one of the best soundtracks ever written.
That was a last minute decision, too. That was, again, it's so much weird the birth of the modern movies happened with Batman. Mm-hmm. Because Warner had just signed Prince to their record label.
Right.
So they were tracking Batman to be huge, but at the last minute they were like, we're putting Prince songs in your movie.
But it worked.
And it worked.
It worked so well.
It worked weirdly well.
I think it's because the dude was really, because he was all about duality, he was really attracted to the idea of just like, if you watch the video for Bat Dance, it's really not, it's not subtle at all. But like, he was like, originally I believe, if I remember right, it was supposed to be him and Michael Jackson working on the soundtrack together. Yeah. And so like, this kind of like duality, these two great Batman and Jack Nicholson coming together. Yeah. And Prince was like, it was probably Prince was just like, I'm not doing it if he's on it. Yeah. Like, I'm a one-man act. I don't team up with fucking people. Right off. Yeah. And come on, to be fair, he is fucking Prince.
He is the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yeah, he's his royal badness. You don't tell him what to do. But that soundtrack, man, it works so. And also like gone, to Bang King Basinger. You ever heard that story?
No, really.
Okay, so
Prince did.
Oh yeah. So after that movie, Prince and Kim Basinger got real close, real fast, and they started dating. And she helped produce her album. If you go online right now,
album?
Yeah. You go online and Google it. You can find a track. I forget the name of it, but it's essentially just light music in the background of Prince and Kim Basinger fucking. Paisley Park employees said they came in the room and just found honey and filth all over the piano and the mixing board.
I kind of really want to hear that now.
It's fascinating. And it was on her album. Like, yeah.
If that's on YouTube and won't get us a copyright strike, I'll throw a clip in right here.
Right here.
But that's insane.
Yeah. So thank you, Batman. Yeah. Like we wouldn't have had that.
Thank you, Prince.
Oh, God bless you.
Do you think this was why Michael Jackson was so insistent on being Spider-Man afterwards? Because he was burned on Batman?
Was he insistent on being Spidey?
He was like desperate to be Spider-Man. He almost bought the rights from Marvel just so he could play Spider-Man in a movie he was going to pay for.
Wow.
He was desperate for Spider-Man.
Maybe that was it. Like, they were just like, you want to work on Batman? He's like, fuck no.
I want to be Spider-Man.
I want to be Spider-Man. Clinks the wall.
Maybe he just wanted an excuse to hang out with a lot of underage high school kids.
So that's also the thing. Again, low-hanging fruit. I was trying to dance around that. But
no, I never dance around the fact that Michael Jackson's a fucking pedophile.
I just love the idea of Spidey swinging around. And he's just his Jerry curls, like, leaving a stain on the back of the couch.
He's swinging back and forth.
Moonwalking up a wall.
Flip.
We all know it's you, Mike. Like, you're not subtle about it at all.
Do you think he would have played Peter Parker white?
Likely, yeah.
There's no reason for him not to.
Macaulay Culkin would have been fucking Harry Osborn. It would have been a whole different world.
Maybe his doctor was a huge Spider-Man fan. He was like, I cannot let this happen.
A little too late. They're making another one. I don't care. Spidey's not sick.
It's not happening. He's gonna get his hands on Wolverine or something. I don't know. It's not gonna happen. Oh Jesus. Do you want to talk about Last Crusade a little?
Did we know that, man? That was on the indie land.
Yeah, I mean,
it does have a higher track record. Who has a higher track record of more favorable films at this point?
Tim Burton or Steven Spielberg?
Batman or Indiana Jones.
Oh, Indiana Jones.
He's got 2 out of 4.
I like Temple of Doom. I think it's retroactively better because of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is so bad.
It's
so unwatchably bad that now I watch Temple, I'm like, this is so quaint.
I have a hard time with Temple, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
I think the girl's completely different. They didn't just do Marion too.
She's unbearable.
She's unbearable, but at least she's a unique character.
Sure, but just it doesn't change the fact she's unbearable.
She's unbearable. Spielberg just wanted to
I still like Short Round despite the fact that like
fine.
I love that character.
And the whole last 40 minutes is insane.
Yes. That's what I was about to say. Once that movie has a purpose, it's all good. But it starts with the Club Obi-Wan scene. We crash around in Nepal. There's some rocks. We're going to go to this castle to find homeboy.
Sexy little Indian children.
And now there's a purpose to the movie. But like, up until then, you're like, there's nothing. They're just fucking around.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that first like 40, 50 minutes of that movie. I'm just like, oh, God.
And then it's literally like it could have been one shot because it's real time. As soon as Indy gets the goop put in him, so he goes insane.
Yeah.
From that moment till the end credits is just one continuous like action set piece.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just non-stop.
I don't know.
Time.
I don't know why they included the whole opening with the nightclub.
I guess because they wanted him to be a little globetrotting kind of.
I remember. I think that's what it was. I remember reading an article where they're like, we want him to be kind of Bond-like, where he does go all over the world.
Suit,
He's in the dinner suit. So I don't know, like. I love that trilogy, but I do tend to skip the first couple minutes of Temple of Doom. It's not great.
It's sort of like how much better Return of the Jedi got after The Phantom Menace, to me. Where I'm like, even the worst decisions in Temple of Doom are so much vastly superior
sure.
to the decisions made in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Well, also it gets harder with like movies that are made that far after the point, because it's like you had the technology and means and reference points to make this a knockout, and instead these people with more limited means and technology made a far more successful film. Like,
and it's also the one I watched the least, Temple. So I think that adds to it too. Because now as an adult, going back and going, hey, I'm going to watch the Indy trilogy. Temple's the one I remember least, so it's almost like a fresh Indiana Jones experience.
It is.
So that kind of adds to it too.
That's true. I'll agree with that. Where you're like, I don't really remember the beats of this movie. Is that Dan Aykroyd at the airport? What is going on?
A British dude?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're talking about Last Crusade.
We're talking about Last Crusade.
Which, that one I love, even though it does just borrow a lot from Raiders. It is kind of beat for beat Raiders.
Raiders 2.0. And I went down, I was watching and reading a bunch of original reviews for it, and a lot of people were like, it's Raiders, but not as fun.
Which is accurate.
But I really do enjoy it. I love that it gets, Indiana Jones isn't in his trademark outfit until the last 15 minutes of the movie, which was their attempt to sort of say this character's more than his silhouette.
Right.
Which is fine. I like that. I
love that.
Yeah.
I love that whole opening in Italy.
Venice.
Venice. Come on, hot Nazi chick. Yeah, I love hot Nazi chick.
Who apparently Sean Connery improvised the line where she talks in her sleep. She was never having intended to have slept with his father. Oh, that's too funny. Yeah. But did they just write it in? Because it comes up again during the Zeppelin scene. I guess they would have had to have added it.
Right?
Because that was an improv by Sean Connery, and Spielberg was like, beautiful!
Which is even funnier because Sean Connery kind of makes this face. Like, yeah you heard me. That's even funnier. Oh, that's hilarious.
So I guess they would have retrofitted it. Yeah, Spielberg usually shoots sequentially. Like, he doesn't usually shoot out of order.
Right.
He tends to shoot from beginning to end. Like, he shot all of E.T. Sequentially.
That's what I was about to say. That must have been a pain in the ass because you have to start the forest, film all that shit, and then come back to the forest.
Oh, for E.T.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did it just because he knew he was working with child actors, and he didn't want them to have the added burden of, okay, today I have to get in the headspace of the beginning of the movie.
That makes sense.
Now I have to be at the end of the movie.
Okay.
So we're literally, when they're saying goodbye to E.T., was like their last day of production, so they were saying goodbye to each other. So he was actually like fueling that emotion.
Oh, that makes sense. Because Drew Barrymore's performance in that scene, you're like, how are you better in this than you've ever been in anything else you've ever done?
Except, I was going to say she doesn't have a sex tape, but that joke got except for her Playboy spread? I don't
Except
know.
the time she flashed David Letterman, pick one.
Who was the sad older actress who tried to recreate the Halle Berry flashing, and Letterman was actually just like, well, thank you for that, and he was so awkward by it.
Courtney Love?
Maybe
Courtney Love did it.
Courtney
too.
Love, yeah, and it was Courtney Love, and then Dave's reaction was just like, oh fuck.
Paul's just like,
And David's just burning his eyes out.
Biff's crying.
She just wanted to hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I do love, one of my favorite parts of Raiders is, like, in terms of, like, okay, we did the truck sequence in the first one, the motorcade. How do we one-up it? Fucking tank. Fuck you with the tank. This is one of the coolest things. I remember being a kid and just becoming immediately obsessed, because what I love about Indy is that it is Star Wars' cousin. Has a lot of, like, similar DNA, i.e. big, lumbering, huge, metallic, unstoppable weapons.
Both based on old serials.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I just remember watching that movie and being like, is that a real tank? And you Google it. Gun to my head, I won't remember what the actual name is, but sure enough, it was a real fucking thing.
That they actually just hucked over a cliff.
Which is badass! You're just like, everything...
You can see the puppet of the guy, I don't know.
That's one of my favorite parts, is the way... And because the way he smacks into the rocks and bounces around.
It's horrifying.
I also forgot about the plane sequence. I'm jumping all over the place, but like, oh my god, the fucking plane sequence in that movie. In terms of just ambitiousness, that movie, I think... I don't know, I would have to do like a sit down and chart it out, but I think that movie has more action beats per minute
for sure
than Raiders does.
Because Raiders is a slow build to a climax. Same with Temple, obviously. And Last Crusade is like, it's almost following that modern format of 10 minutes action scene. 10 minutes action scene, 10 minutes action scene.
With a prequel and everything. I mean, any prequel crammed at the beginning.
Indy's first adventure.
That's right.
And it's great. It's that tank scene, I was obsessed with that as a kid.
Yeah.
I remember as a little kid being like 7 years old and just desperately wanting the toy set, because they didn't have Indiana Jones toys, and I just would have fantasies of having the Indy toys in the tank and be able to play with them and shit.
Rolling it towards the stairs with your action figures on top of it, like
exactly.
That's one of my favorite moments of cinema history. I love the way that they don't give the German subtitles, so that he has to act through his hands, like when he's mimicking blowing the car off. Like that actor, I don't know his name, but he's one of the best Nazi henchmen in cinema history.
What was his name? Not the actor, but the character.
Air Storm?
Was it? No.
They say it at one point.
They do say it at one point, but it's an odd name. I used to know this. Google it.
Yeah.
Google it and leave a comment.
That movie also brings back two Star Wars Imperial veterans back as Nazis.
Donovan.
You got Donovan, who was General Veers during the Battle of Hoth, and then, what was his face? Admiral Ozzel, the man who came out of Lightspeed too close to the Hoth system.
Who was he in?
He's Hitler.
Is he Hitler?
He is Adolf Hitler. He's Hitler. Actually, he has double duty in Indy. He's Adolf Hitler, and he's the submarine captain in Raiders whenever Indy's hiding on the back.
Yeah.
He's charting out the position. I think he still has the same Hitler mustache.
They just huge into Hitler?
Yeah, maybe he's, Maybe he's just like Hitler on a...
But he couldn't spell his name properly.
Does he misspell Hitler?
He misspells Adolf when he signs it on the close-up.
How does he spell it?
I don't remember which one's right. I don't know if PH is right and F is wrong.
F is right.
F is right, so he PHs then.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have to rewatch. Do you think Spielberg of anyone would be like, I have an interest in these sort of things. I plan on making a movie about this one day.
I have a vested interest.
Yeah.
He misspelled Adolf. But the whole father and son stuff is great. That whole moment, like, to this day, kind of wells me up when Henry thinks Indy's dead.
Yes.
And he comes climbing up.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, I had a friend who'd never seen it before. We were watching it on home video, and when Indy went over the cliff, he started freaking out. He's this real emotional guy, and I just was such a little shit, and I was like, yeah, no, he's dead now. It's like the rest of the movies, the rest of them, like, this is the Last Crusade. It's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's really upset him.
Then he crawls up the cliff, and he's a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I love the subtext in those movies that Indy was supposed to be, I think if I remember right, it was supposed to be Bond's granddad. He's supposed to be related to James Bond in some way or shape or form. Like, he's the precursor to Bond.
Well, from the 60s, Sean Connery Bond.
Yeah, in the sense that he's supposed to be this globe-trotting, womanizing kind of adventurer dude who fights like super organizations.
Yeah.
And their way of driving that home was like, well, let's just cast James Bond as his fucking father.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that Sean Connery is only 12 years older than Harrison Ford. You're like, it works. It works so well.
And he turned by that point. Harrison Ford had gone into that next stage of his life by Last Crusade. Because he was 35 in 1981 when the first Indy came out. Mm-hmm. So he was hitting 40 for Last Crusade. And if you watch him back to back, he's so svelte. And he still has that young, like, thinness to him in Temple and Raiders. And then Last Crusade, he's looking a little thicker.
He does. Now that you mention that one. Because I'm thinking about the scene where one of my favorite scenes where he's pretending to be the Scottish Lord.
Mickey Mouse! Worst Scottish accent ever.
It's so random. Like, I don't know, again, like, if it was...
I don't know why.
It was one of the screenwriters' ideas, which is like, let's just have Harrison make an ass of himself, because he's usually this cool, suave, low dude.
It just doesn't seem like a plan Indy would have had.
No! You know? It's so random. And all it does is get them into the castle. It's like, that's all that it does.
You could just open the door and punch him in the face.
Literally, yeah. But... I'm thinking in that scene, he looks more like a teacher than he does.
Yeah, he's got his neck's thickening up.
His neck is thickening.
He's hitting that 40s thick.
Starting to slow now.
Yeah. And he didn't just... It was weird that Harrison Ford... I don't know if J.J. Abrams just beat him mercilessly to get a performance out of him for Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Because he's working with Spielberg for Indy 4, and he does not give a fuck in that movie.
But maybe that's what it is that, like...
Because he liked Indiana Jones, though. He hated Han Solo.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's just the paycheck was better. I imagine Disney ponied up a lot of money to get him back as Han Solo, but for Indiana Jones, like, this is more of a favorite of my friends.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Part-time.
Yeah, Lordy.
He was, like, in a coma for that whole movie.
Yeah.
Every line he delivered was just so awkward.
It's not his fault. Can you imagine being him coming back for that movie and they're, like, on a green screen for this entire car chase sequence?
Yeah.
You got this fucking schlubby kid pretending to be your son. You're like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is going to sound like a slightly humble braggy, but when I met Jeremy Bullock, Boba Fett. I met the dude several times over generations. Never remembers me. But one time we were talking for a while about the convention scene. And he's like, there was a problem we had with George for a while because, he said that we didn't really deserve a lot of shares into, like, the sales of the merchandise, which is ridiculous because he's not at these events. We are. Like, me, Peter, and, Mark, we come to these things and, like, fans come out, but they buy the merchandise. He gets all the money. It makes no sense. All he does is, and he kind of petered off, and the Crystal Skull had just come out. And I was like, all he does is make bad sequels to Indiana Jones. And Jeremy both just went, oh, what was that? What was that? He's like, I'm friends with Ray Winstone. We worked on Sherlock Holmes together back in the day.
Yeah.
So we were talking to each other while he was filming. I was like, how's it going? And Ray Winstone was like, apparently everyone in the crew knew, like, as they were making it, like, this is going to be a train wreck.
I think that's probably the answer right there.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford was probably just like, I can't believe they're sinking my favorite character.
Yeah. Remember Spielberg in that one interview? He's like, they're interdimensional beings, fine. Whatever.
Because he actually is like, I had them ride into the sunset. It was over for me. I was done with Raiders pictures.
I love the idea. I love it cuts back to Georgie. He's like, so basically these beings trying so hard to bail the water out of this ship. Like,
oh god, that movie was so atrocious. And they're making another one.
Yeah, they are making another one.
So my theory is it's going to be old man Harrison Ford telling a story
about young man.
And then Spielberg's not good at casting anymore, though. Like, he just casts whatever the studio tells him, whoever the studio tells him.
Is he in charge of casting?
Well, he's the director. So...
Well, I imagine you'd have a casting director for that stuff.
But he gets final say. Like, casting director goes and gets all the footage of everybody, and then he watches it and picks one. But to have picked Shia LaBeouf as Indy's kid was a fucking misstep.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine who Disney's going to ram down his throat, who's like Aaron Alderreich there for Han Solo.
Right.
Who is Disney going to be going like, well, this guy's big right now, so we need to get his attention so we can get him at the Oscars and blah, blah, blah.
That's true. If they were smart, they'd go with an unknown, but I can't see them doing that.
An unknown who can do a fucking Harrison Ford impression, because I don't care about your interpretation of a character. Like, Aaron Aldenreich's interpretation of Han Solo can go fuck itself. Just be Han Solo.
But that brings up the next question, because the franchise is called Indiana Jones. If you were smart enough to call it Globetrotters, you could have put whoever you want. So now you have the responsibility, like, well, do we just do young Indy in perpetuity until he catches up and surpasses Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones, or do we have it be his kid and we just keep the moniker Indiana?
Do we make it his grandkid, make it set in contemporary times?
And his kid's name is Indiana.
Maybe just a nickname.
Indiana Jones the Third.
Henry Jones.
Henry Jones the Third. Yeah.
And he just because Mutt. It would have to be the Adventures of Mutt Williams. Williams.
I think they officially say like that's not.
I can't imagine.
We're not
bring Shia LaBeouf back.
We'll not even bring him back. I think they're just not. It's going to be like Last Crusade, the Temple of Doom. Like we're not acknowledging that. Like,
so is he going to just have like a tan line where his wedding band was to Marion? In part 5.
I guess he did get married to Marion.
He sure did. Marrying for the underage girl he raped. He statutory raped when he was...
She still loved him.
That's fucked up though. Because remember the
about like that was the original. So that's what split up Abner and Indiana Jones in their first movie.
The original, because they released the conversation, the notes from the conversations that George, Lawrence Kasdan, and Spielberg had, and George was the one being like, she was like 12, 13, and Spielberg kept going, she better be older than fucking 12 or 13, and George was adamant that she was like 12 or 13, and Indy was like 20, and you can see it in the movie when she says, I was a child.
Yeah, totally.
It was weird that George Lucas was really harping on her being like 12.
I meant more so that she was in love with him when she came back to Tibet and came back for the medallion. She's clearly into him, and that's it. It's been some time, and Abner was dead. And
I just feel like she was the first indie girl, but that's all that qualified her to be the, like...
100%.
Were fans chomping at the bit for him to marry Marion? No. Right? The girly statutory rape? At the turn of the century. It's pretty fucking weird.
If that's like the tip of the iceberg for that movie in terms of just like, really, that's the route you're gonna go.
I want to see the prequel story be how he meets Marion, and they cast like the little girl from Stranger Things, and it's still Aaron Alderreich or whatever. Han Solo is still Indy.
I just imagine George Lucas reviews Indiana Jones movie, spectacular success. Finally, Jesus. Someone has the balls to make a movie that I care about.
Someone finally got it. Maybe that's why he sold the franchise, because he was sensing the whole Me Too world. He was like, man, if they find out about little Daisy, this whole franchise will be worth nothing. I gotta sell it quick. He's having dinner with James Gunn. He was the one hosting that party.
He was the one tweeting. He got Gunn's phone, and he was like, George, what are you doing? Put it down.
No, it's good. It's good. It's funny.
It's hilarious. When a 4-year-old pees on my head.
The only reason I ever wanted kids.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. For the record, we don't think George Lucas is a pedophile.
I mean, there's a lot of compasses pointing that way.
I am not dealing with his lawyers. Yeah, that's all I need.
Ultimately, no, we don't believe that. Moment of silence.
You're gonna get taken out by a bunch of stormtroopers.
He doesn't even own them anymore. It would just be him showing up. And he's in a stormtrooper outfit with his chin is sticking out underneath the mask. Inflating like a bullfrog from anger.
You sure have impugned my honor.
Oh, I would love George Lucas to slap me with a white glove. That would be amazing.
So there it is, man. 2 titans of 1989.
Yeah, 30 years. What else came out in 1989? I can't even think. Batman was a big one.
Batman, I think, was the big.
Did Ninja Turtles come out in 1989?
The first one? I know the second one was like 92.
Yeah, maybe the first one was 90. But yeah, so Last Crusade. Congratulations to 30 years of surviving the purchase, the buyout. You're about to be Disney-fied. There will be an Indiana Jones every 2 years till we're dead.
As long as they don't get... they probably are going to tear it down.
They'll tear it down.
That ride in Disney World... No, Land. The Jeep ride.
Yeah.
The temple one. It's one of my favorite ones.
Well, they tore down Jurassic Park, and now it's Jurassic World, so... They
used to have, like, screens and shit.
I think it's still a river adventure. But
really?
I think they're just updating it to be Jurassic World. Which is insane, because no one, like... Yeah, it made a ton of money, Jurassic World. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom made like half the money of Jurassic World.
Right.
No one gives a fuck about Jurassic World. They care about Jurassic Park, and they want to see the newest sequel to it. So why would you redesign your entire theme park?
It's like one of those things where it's like, we can't get any money if we use the licensing. That
universe.
Is it Amblin?
Yeah, maybe because of Amblin.
Yeah, they're like, because we, the same way like we can't use Empire Rebels or the First Order Resistance.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's got to be something like that where like that's their way around? It's like, no, it's Jurassic World.
Yeah, maybe.
No.
Maybe it's like how they can't use the Enterprise in Star Trek. Because of the CBS Paramount butting heads.
Gotcha. Did they never call it Enterprise in the Abrams?
Well, they just it has to be 25% different in design.
Aha.
So that's why it looks so weird and why it's so big. And why the Enterprise in Discovery is so weird and big.
Gotcha. I was wondering why they kept redoing it.
Yeah. Oh.
89 was kind of a nuts year for movies, man. We got Little Mermaid, Back to the Future Part 2.
Oh, yeah?
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Ghostbusters 2, Uncle Buck, Weekend at Bernie's, Bill and Ted's, Pet Sematary.
Bill and Ted 1?
Bill and Ted 1.
That's an insane year.
It's a nuts year. Yeah.
89. I guess we could do a whole podcast about half those movies.
Right? Star Trek 5.
We'll stay tuned. Next week we'll do an hour on The Little Mermaid.
Oh, finally! God damn it.
Yeah, honestly, I've never seen The Little Mermaid.
Really?
Never saw it.
No interest?
As a little kid, remember, I'm a child of the 80s. There was movies for little boys, there was movies for little girls.
Sure.
Disney had, they came out with like Aladdin, that's for you fellas. Little Mermaid, that's for the ladies.
Right.
That's just how it was. And as a 7-year-old, you're not really thinking about the bigger picture.
That one starts with a pirate ship, dude.
It's
pretty badass.
Never saw it.
Starts with a pirate ship, and there's a chick. But, you're a young lad, she's in a bikini shovel.
Fish bottom.
Yeah, so it's confusing, and, shit.
Someday I will never sit down and watch The Little Mermaid, but
it's pretty good, man.
Maybe I'll check it out on the Disney streaming service.
You should watch it if only to see the one, like every Disney movie has some subtext of like weird racism. Mm-hmm. There's a great giant big-lipped fish, like this black-faced fish that's like, yeah, chica.
Really?
Oh yeah. Just watch it for that.
On that note, Disney streaming service, the only Disney movie that's not going to be on it is Song of the South.
Damn it! And then what's the point?
They are not going to even touch that.
They're like, that's a fucking Twitter war we do not need to have right now. So.
At all. And on the last day, if you guys this will be a podcast from a couple weeks from that we're recording it. But this summer, because of the 30th anniversary of Last Crusade, a lot of theaters are playing the Indie trilogy. I'm in Peterborough, Ontario. If you live near there, the Galaxy Cinema is doing all 3 indies. I think I might check at least one of them out.
That'd be sweet. They're also re-releasing Batman.
I saw Returns. I missed Batman.
Oh, you saw? Wait.
It already happened.
That already happened? They re-released 89 Batman?
Yeah.
Fucking duck.
They got ahead of the summer blockbuster season when they could still have screens.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Smart move.
But it was for 1 week, and Batman only had 3 shows. And Batman Returns had 2 shows on one day. That was it. Wow. So Sam and I went to see Batman Returns. Both of us were pretty bummed out that we missed Batman because we found out about it on the day, and we're like, oh, what the fuck? And we even looked. It's like, it starts at an hour in, it's sold out. But Returns on the big screen was phenomenal. Yeah, because it wasn't, because a lot of theaters they just go they just stick a Blu-ray on because now they're all digital projectors, and it's like Scrooged. I think you maybe even came when we saw Scrooged, and they literally saw the Blu-ray menu was being projected before they went dook and hit play.
That happened when I saw Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that's so frustrating to me. But this was a remaster by the studio for the upcoming 30th anniversary 4K release.
Cool.
So it was a brand new rendition of it, and it was amazing.
Damn it.
The sound was amazing. I couldn't, for the first time in my life, the Batmobile charged by and it rumbled in my body. That deep bass, oh fuck, this is so cool.
That's badass.
It was really good. It was really fun seeing it.
Way to go, Warner Brothers. It's not like you could use the money or anything.
Way to advertise that shit and have it for one day. But, I think that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for listening.
Tune in next week.
Next week for something. We'll figure something out. And, make sure to check us out at spaceactionheroes.com.
Like and subscribe.
Please like and subscribe. We need validation.
Validate me with your attention.